Hi, I'm Thomas Hartmann-Boyce, Client Portfolio Manager with ARK Invest. On this season of The Switch, we're going to address how transparency can impact an organization's success. Today, we will be joined by Tom Lydon of ETF Trends to facilitate the discussion and make sure we don't leave anything unanswered. So let's get the conversation started with the ARK Transparency ETF, ticker CTRU.
Hey, Thomas, I've really been looking forward to this. Now, let me ask you, as people think about ARK and they think about the ETFs, they can think about a couple things. They think about active and they think about high conviction. This ETF is a little bit different. So walk us through the case around it.
You're absolutely right. It certainly is differentiated in terms of our approach for this product. But let me take a step back. If you think about transparency and its relevance to ARK, it's really twofold. One, if you think of our investment vehicle lineup in terms of our active ETF suite, it really doesn't get more transparent than that. And we even disseminate trades on a daily basis. So we're very transparent with our investments. But if you couple that with the way we approach our communication with investors in terms of our use of social media, but even more importantly, our use of an open research ecosystem where we communicate and work hands-on with external folks across various aspects of technology, we are as transparent as it gets. And again, transparency is at the core ethos of ARK. So for that reason, transparency makes a lot of sense from our angle in terms of a new product added to our lineup, and it is differentiated in our approach.
Yeah, so we just did a wonderful get-together with Dr. Rainford Knight, who talked about transparency and how it's defined. Can you run through those 6 KPIs quickly?
So you're absolutely right. We follow the methodology in terms of those 6 KPIs, which are incredibly important in terms of allocating to the 100 most transparent companies across the globe. And those are transparency standards in terms of standards that companies have on their website as it relates to culture and all kinds of different standards, customer standards, etc. The second is terms, and you can think about terms as the terms and conditions that are on either a company's website or that you use when buying a product or signing up for a service. We want to make sure those are very transparent. You have total accountability and truth, which relate to the aggregate number of lawsuits and the type of lawsuits. Clearly, we want companies that are in good standings. You have transparent cost in terms of the cost for consumers, i.e. the price that companies are offering for their products and services. We want that to be as transparent as possible. And then, of course, you have trust. And here by trust, we're talking about transparency as it relates to the company itself, the level of satisfaction of employees, for example, which is going to be a key driver for the culture and ultimately the organization.
And naturally, a benefit of this is impact. Touch on that.
You're absolutely right. So it starts with screening out non-transparent industries, which there are 9, but then really leaning towards, through those KPIs that I walk through, leaning towards those 100 most transparent companies. And you're right that you have an impact focus because of this methodology. And to give you a few numbers, you have 95% fewer environmental violations with the Transparency 100 index and the ETF relative to the S&P 500, for example, and 98% less financial crimes. So again, it's leaning towards companies that are quote unquote doing the right thing. And then to take it one step further and at a higher level, if you think about the product and the ETF that we're talking about here, relative to again the S&P 500, if you screen out those 9 industries, it results in a positive impact of $2.3 trillion as measured over the last 6 years, as well as a significant impact on lives, roughly 22 million lives that are impacted through those 9 different industries based off our calculations through Transparency Invest. So a very clear impact orientation with this ETF, as well as impact in terms of performance and the positive combination of those 2 factors.
That's great. So Transparency Invest is the sub-advisor for, and they have the index, right? And you talk about 100 companies. Cap weighted or equal weighted?
Great question. You're right. Transparency Invest as the sub-advisor and the index provider, and we've chosen equal weighted here. And there's a few reasons for that. One is clearly the diversification you get with an equal weighted index, but it's also the purest play in terms of accessing transparency and investing in transparency. Once you introduce market cap, you're obviously tilting the companies outside of transparency. We want to be fully focused on transparency for this particular product.
And Thomas, how often is this rebalanced?
Great question. It's rebalanced and reconstituted every quarter. And you can expect some turnover, but over time, more and more companies are becoming transparent. More and more companies are making their way in terms of the bottom of the funnel, so to speak. But we're selecting, again, the top 100 most transparent companies and reconstituting and rebalancing every quarter.
Great. Listen, ARK continues to impress us. Before I let you go from one Tom to another, I got to ask you, with a name like Thomas Hartmann-Boyce, it sounds so regal. It's almost like you're a Nobel laureate. I had Tom Lydon. I was the last guy picked on the kickball team. Did this name get you into clubs, and did you do well with girls, stuff like that?
Well, at least it got me to ARK Invest where I really want to be. So I'm thankful for that and thankful for my parents for going with the hyphenated route.
It's awesome. I'm jealous. Anyway, Thomas, thanks for being with us and look forward to seeing you in person real soon.
My pleasure. And maybe you can consider using your middle name.
It's Francis.
Maybe not.
I can't use Francis.